Hello everybody, it's Thomas here and welcome to my second Java tutorial. Today we're going to be discussing variables, specifically primitive types. So our integers, floating points, characters, and booleans. So if you're new to my channel and you do take something away from this video, please do consider subscribing. It just provides a little motivation to me to see that number go up. Anyways, let's get right into this tutorial. So what is a variable? Well, it's kind of like in math, where you have a letter or a name, for example, var, and this actually represents something to the computer. For example, var could represent the number 10, and you can change what var equals. So we can change var from representing the number 10 to representing the number 20. So it's essentially an easy way for you to store different data and represent it with just a simple name that's easy to remember. So to declare a variable, what you do is you're just going to type in the variable type. So let's say we want to declare an integer of type int. So an int is just one number, a whole number. So we're just going to type in int, which is the type. Then we're going to type in the variable name. As you can see, the first letter of the first word is lowercase and the first letter of the subsequent words is going to be uppercase. This is called camel case. So essentially what camel case does is it just makes words easier to read. As you can see, if I can type correctly, the first letter of each word is a capital except for the first word. And that just makes everything easy to read because you can't have spaces in your variable names. So this kind of just acts to break up the different words if you have a variable that's multiple words. Anyway, you can declare a variable, but that doesn't actually give it a value. To give it a value, we need to initialize the variable. So to do this, we're going to, first off, we'll declare the variable. So int var, and then we're going to type in the equal sign, and then whatever's to the right side of the equal sign is what the variable is going to equal. So if we have int var equals, then on the right side of the equal sign we type in 10. So what we've just done is we've created a variable of type int, and that variable is named var, so it's represented by the name var, and it holds the value 10. So the variable var represents 10 to the computer. Anyway, now let's go over the different types of variables. So first we have integers. So we have bytes, shorts, ints, and longs. So these can all hold numbers essentially. So bytes can store different numbers and characters from the ASCII table, mainly basic numbers and English characters. And it is 8 bits. So all you need to know for, bitwise is that bits has to do with how much that actual type of variable can store. Next we have shorts, which are essentially, basic numbers, and it's 16 bits of storage per short. So you can store, 0, 1, 10, 100 in a short, just as long as the short doesn't exceed 16 bits. And we'll discuss that in a bit. Next we have ints. So ints are essentially a whole integer. So 0, 1, or 10, 100, 10,000. These are all integers that can be stored in an int. Next we have longs. So for longs, a long is essentially a large number. So if you have a number that's too big to fit in an int, you're going to store it in a long. So a long actually, as you can see, it holds numbers essentially double the size of an int. It's 64 bits. And when declaring a long, you just type in your number, for example 10, then you're going to type in a capital L at the end. This just tells the computer that this is for sure a long. And it also helps you to keep track of what type that number is. Next we have our floating point numbers. So a floating point is just a fancy word for a decimal, 0.0, 54.4, 10.9. I don't know why it's not called a decimal. So there's two types of floating points you should know. The first is called a float. So a float is a smaller, less precise floating point, and similar to how you put an L at the end of long. When declaring a float, you're going to type in your decimal and end it with a lowercase f. And that takes up 32 bits of storage. Next we have a double, which you don't need to put a D at the end, so you're just going to declare it double D or whatever your name is. Let's just clarify this: double name equals, and then you're going to put your decimal. So this takes up 64 bits. Now, why would you want to use a double instead of a float if a float takes up less storage? Well, the main thing to consider is that since a double takes up more storage, it's going to be much more precise than a float. And it can also hold much more long numbers with much smaller decimals. So for example, if you're multiplying two numbers and you need the answer to be extremely precise, you're going to want to use a double, not a float, because when using a float, your answer may be less precise. Next we have characters. So characters, there's only one type, which is a char. So I just called my char C and I initialized it as the value A. So when declaring a type that can hold characters, such as, a letter, you're actually going to want to write that letter in between single quotes, like this, or this, or this. If you're initializing it as a number, for example 10, you don't need the quotes. But if you're using a letter or a symbol, you will need those quotes. Anyways, a character is 16 bits and it does store numbers and characters from Unicode. Now, what's the difference between Unicode and ASCII? As you can see, bytes can store characters from the ASCII and chars can store characters from Unicode. Well, the main difference is that the ASCII table contains mainly English, whereas Unicode contains many different languages. So for example, if you wanted a letter from a different language, you might want to store it in a char. Next we have booleans. So boolean is really simple. It's just a switch. You turn it off or you turn it on. You turn it true or you turn it false. So when declaring a boolean, of course, you just write boolean and then you put your name, and then you can set it equal to true or false. So a boolean just takes up 1 bit in the computer memory, and if this needs any more clarification, a boolean is a switch. You can make it true or false. Next we have variable manipulation. So let's say our boolean, bool is the name, is switched off. It's false. But what if we want to make it true? It's pretty simple. You just type in the variable name, bool, which currently represents false. Now we're going to type in the equal sign, and to the right of the equal sign, we'll type in its new value. For example, true. As you can see, this boolean now is set to equal true. And for numbers, you can do the same. For example, our int we made earlier, which is currently equal to 0, int I equals 0, we can just set I equal to 10. And we can change the value as many times as we want. So now I equals 20. We can even do something like I equals 10 plus 10. And now I is set to equal 10 plus 10, which equals 20. So essentially what I'm trying to say is when you declare and initialize a variable, like I have in this video, you can easily change the value of the variable just by typing the variable name equals and then the new value. You can also write multiple variables to do basic math functions. So let's say we have an integer, an int num1, and that is equal to 5. We have an int num2, and that's equal to 10. What if we want to create an int called num, which is equal to the result of num1 times num2? Remember, num1 equals 5 and num2 equals 10, so num1 times num2 is essentially 5 times 10, which is 50. Well, we're going to declare and initialize the variable, so int num equals, and then what we're going to do right here is type in the variable name num1. Remember, to a computer, num1 just is 5. Okay, and now to multiply, we're going to use an asterisk. And now we're going to type in num2. So to a computer, what this line means right here is essentially make new variable called num, which equals to num1 times num2, so which equals to 5 times 10. So it's going to create a new variable called num, which equals 5 times 10. So num will be equal to 50. Do not forget the semicolon right there. Anyways, just to show you right quickly, now if I print out the value of num, it should show us 50. This will tell us if we did it correctly. And if you're interested in how to print things out, just check out my earlier video on using print functions. The link will be in a pinned comment. So let's compile and execute our program. And if everything was done correctly, it should print out num, which to the computer is 50. As you can see, it printed out 50. So it worked perfectly correct. Now there's many different types of arithmetic functions you can use with variables. For example, to multiply, you'll use an asterisk. To subtract, you use a minus sign or a dash. To add, you use a plus sign. And to divide, you type in a slash. Now, one last thing to discuss is what are these bit things? I told you I'd explain it to you guys. Essentially, these bits represent how much space in the computer memory that each of these variables takes up. So as you can see, a boolean takes up 1 bit, a double takes up 64 bits. So the main thing to know with these is if you're going to be doing arithmetic functions, adding, multiplying different types of data, then essentially you are going to want to set the new variable to be equal to the larger type of data you're using. For example, let's say I am adding an integer, int in, which is going to equal the number 10. This int in is going to take up 32 bits of memory space. Now if I have a double, which I'm just going to call db, which is going to equal 10.5. This double db is going to take up 64 bits of memory. So if I'm going to be multiplying double db times int in, then my result is going to end up being a double, meaning it's going to take up 64 bits of memory. If I try to hold those 64 bits in an int, remember, int can only store up to 32 bits of memory, then I will end up encountering an error because you can't store 64 bits of memory in a container that can only hold 32 bits of memory. Due to our result being 64 bits of memory, a double, we'll need to hold it in a double. That way we can properly hold those 64 bits. Anyways, what I essentially want you to take away from this video though is there are many types of variables. There's bytes, shorts, ints, longs, chars, floats, doubles, booleans, and these all hold different types of data. You can easily change the values of the variable simply by typing in the variable name, typing in the equal sign, and typing in the new value you want to hold. You can also make a variable equal to two different variables, multiplied, divided, added, or subtracted from each other. Just like this. And do not forget the semicolon. I really do hope that this video was helpful to you guys. If you enjoyed it, please do consider leaving a like and comments. If you have any questions, thanks, and I hope to see you in my next tutorial video.